Hi everyone, I'm Paige Kelly. Welcome back to ETP Radio, and today I'm here to talk to you about immigration. Now, I'm sure when many of you hear the word immigration, you think back to Ellis Island times, or even further than that, the Pilgrims. But I'm here today to let you know that immigration has vastly grown from your ancestors' lifetime and has shaped who we are as a nation today. So, what exactly is immigration? Immigration is the action of coming to live permanently in a foreign country. 89.4 million people, nearly 20% of the overall U.S. population, is made up of immigrants in 2018, and this number is expected to expand up to 36% by 2065. For its first 100 years, the United States facilitated immigration, welcoming foreigners to settle a vast country. But in the beginning of the 1880s, an era of qualitative immigration restrictions began as certain types of immigrants were not allowed. Prostitutes, workers with contracts that tied them to a particular employer for several years, and the Chinese. In the 1920s, quantitative restrictions or quotas set a cap on the number of immigrants accepted each year. But the immigration law changed in 1965. Qualitative and quantitative restrictions were maintained, but the national preferences that favored the entry of Europeans were dropped. U.S. immigration policy began to favor the entry of foreigners who had U.S. relatives and foreigners requested by U.S. employers. During the 1970s, the origins of most immigrants changed from Europe to Latin America and Asia. Between 2000 and 2009, over 3/4 of the 10 million immigrants were admitted from Latin America and Asia. So overall, U.S. immigration has occurred in waves with peaks followed by troughs. But today, unauthorized migration is the main policy concern. With our current administration, we see lots of light shed on the illegal immigrants flooding in our country, mainly from Mexico. And at the moment, the United States grants permanent resident status to about 1 million people per year. And many of these people go on to becoming U.S. citizens. But our current president wants to cut this number in half, roughly speaking. So without these immigrants, where will our country go? While a lot has changed since Washington's time, two fundamental views have not. The United States is still a country with a mission and a desire for greatness on the world stage. And America's openness to people who want to move here and make a better life for themselves is a fuel for that greatness. Few of our problems can be solved by cutting out immigration completely, but many could be solved by welcoming even more foreigners to our shores. The main sources of immigration and the main occupations likely to employ these immigrants have changed over time, but the story has been the same from the beginning. A larger and more diverse population supports a more intensive development of the resources available, which overall leads to a more complex division of labor and leads to a more sophisticated economy as a whole. So we have grown up with immigration being a norm. We have grown up already being immersed in this diverse nation. So by taking these immigration rights away, by limiting the amount of people and diversity that comes into this country, America will not only be smaller and weaker, but also poorer on the per capita basis, only weakening our economy as a whole. America has a long-lasting tradition of foreigners and political uprise with these people coming that without it, America would never be the same. So that concludes the end of my podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to check out the rest of the ETP Radio website for the rest of the podcast.